Welcome into the Irish Squad Show. I'm Joe George, post-game host, and Jadarian Price. That dude is an absolute monster.
I'm Alan Pinkett, two-time All-American, and for the second year in a row, Purdue is the remedy.
Reggie Brooks, 1993 All-American, and thank God for the Notre Dame offense.
Play like a champion today. It's the Fighting Irish Squad Show. Everything Notre Dame Fighting Irish every week. Breaking down the biggest news and game-changing plays the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Wake up the echoes. The Fighting Irish Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Irish Squad Show here on the Locked On Irish YouTube channel. Joe George, Alan Pinkett, and Reggie Brooks here with you for the next hour as the Irish get the first win of the season, winning 56-30. I think both these guys nailed it with the way to start the show today. Purdue, the remedy for Alan. Reggie, you nailed it too. Thank goodness for the offense. We'll talk about what we saw from the running backs and Carr and the offense today, but also the defense. Let's start on a positive note. Let's focus on the good stuff of the game. The worst probably being the 2-hour lightning delay that happened also. That was a lengthy one. But, look, right away, they start the game. They attack downfield. They score a 67-yard touchdown pass. CJ Carr right away. I love how they open up the game, letting him just go out there and rip it. So, Reggie, we'll start with you. What was just your overall impressions of the offense for Notre Dame today?
Well, yeah, like you said, getting the ball downfield. And I've been saying this for some time now. CJ Carr is a downfield thrower. He throws a beautiful ball downfield, puts it right into Malachi's field hands, and, boom, the rest is history. But, man, the running game is back. And it started because of how well the offensive line, they got push up front. The offensive line did a much better job of getting movement up front, and you weren't seeing guys getting hit in the backfield. These guys were downfield before they experienced their first bit of contact. So, Jadarian Price, he killed it. Jeremiyah Loves. Again, it starts with the offensive line. Again, they look great, but they only look great because the offensive line gave them, that good push so they can press the hole and then boom, do their thing from there.
Well, I'll say this, that I was totally impressed with the very first offensive play of the game, which involved play action, because Purdue knew they were going to get a heavy dose of Jeremiyah Loves. And I'm sure they were all keyed in on, let's try and tackle this dude. And next thing you know, they go downfield 67 yards. So really, really happy about that first play and the quick strike ability that Notre Dame is going to have, in their offensive, just the whole balance running past. They're going to have that quick strike ability. But can't say enough about the running backs. And, every time I see Jeremiyah Loves run the football, he's so explosive and rarely goes down on the first hit. And I do like the second and third effort he gives. And when Jadarian Price comes in, it's one of those things where the defense has probably gotten used to the speed of Love coming around the corner or going through the line. And then Jadarian Price comes in. He's a little bit faster, so they're a little behind. And I mean, he makes the defense look like they're walking or something. He's so fast. But I think what we saw today is what we expected out of this offense. 254 yards rushing, which is where we thought this offense would be. I think the bonus is, Carr and his ability. And Reggie, you were right. You said, don't do that. Don't call any plays like you call for Riley Leonard running the ball. They didn't do that, and they let their running backs run, and they got the desired result.
Yeah, I think you look at the stat line today. I mean, Jeremiyah Loves, 157 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Jadarian Price, 74 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. And, of course, his 100-yard kickoff return touchdown as well in this game. They're electric. And that's why I think they're still – and we'll talk about, towards the back end of the show, the ranking, the fact that they're still ranked and giving some hope, I think, for the Irish to make the playoff this season. But if they're going to, it's going to be off the back of these two running backs. They're both so impressive. What's your guys' view on the mix and match we saw today? Because I also feel like that was better, that there was more of a balance between the two running backs in this game, more than we saw in the previous two games to start the season for this offense.
Well, I really think, again, like, you watch how they basically, and Alan talked about it, they kind of complement each other very well. Jadarian Price is a little more explosive, if you will, not much, but Jeremiyah Loves, he's just a hard runner, great moves. He put a move on that one guy and dropped him. Just again, when you're playing against two running backs with different styles, it puts a little pressure on the defense. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, hopefully Coach Denbrock is listening. Hey, let's get those guys in there at the same time. Get those in there. I would love to see those guys flanked, on the sides of CJ Carr, but I have to stay on the offensive line because they can't do what they do without getting some push up front. And it was great to see the offensive line going forward instead of backwards, instead of pass setting. They were coming off the ball, hitting somebody in the mouth, and you saw them wear down that Purdue defense. They were just physically kept pounding on them. That's the success formula, and it's not going to change. And it does great for CJ because, again, he's able to stand back there, deliver the ball, and apparently we have another tight end too, huh?
Yes,
I didn't know. I didn't know we had more than one tight end. And I think he's the only one that played. So it's like, hey, it's okay to play both of them at the same time. That's fine. We won't be upset. See Eli Reardon and Washington there at the same time. That's okay. Put them both in there. I'd love to see it.
Well, Reggie, I will reiterate your thoughts on or what you said about the offensive line. I mean, they really determine how successful the run game is going to be. And the thing that I like the most is these two backs are experienced enough that you don't have to push them much. You just need a little crease. They're going to find it, and they're going to get the ball north and south. And I think with Jeremiyah Loves, he does it a little bit more with power. I mean, he's like a heat-seeking missile when it goes through the hole and get in his way if you want to, because he's going to try and run you over. Where Jadarian Price is a lot more elusive. So I'm sure as a defender, you are trying to either come forward or brace yourself for the blow you're going to get from Jeremiyah Loves. But if you play that way against Jadarian Price, he's going to run right by your ass. So it's one of those deals where it's hard on the defense because they can't really key on is the wrong word. They settle into a speed. A linebacker settles into a speed. He knows what speed he has to use to get to the back if they're going off tackle or going outside. And they get comfortable with that speed. And then when they change the running backs up and they run at that same speed, and it's like, oh, wow, I got to change it up. So now they've sped up, and then Jeremiyah Loves comes in and runs them over. So, again, can't get enough credit to the offensive line. Much, much better performance this week. But, yes, these might be, and I've heard it before. I'm repeating it. I hope I don't mean to sound like an echo, but this might be the best 1-2 punch in college football right now.
I don't know. I don't even might be as generous there, Alan. I'm not sure. Maybe Penn State's got a pretty good backfield too, but I'm not sure there's a better backfield, even one that's comparable, honestly, to what Notre Dame has right now. And then CJ Carr, 10 to 12 today, averaging 18.6 passing yards per completion, the 2 touchdowns. I think what impressed me the most with him today, and look, we see young quarterbacks in college and the NFL, I think they really struggle with the throw towards those out routes towards the sidelines. And him and Faison all day, if it was there, they were connecting on it. It was smooth and easy, nice pitch and catch. So CJ wasn't asked to do much, but he was really impressive in the little he was asked to do in this game as well.
Very efficient, and that's the thing about it. It's like, and this is, I've said this before, we don't need CJ Carr to win the game. We need to make sure he does, because, and again, when he's doing his job, when he's in that rhythm, and it's because the running game was going, he could flow, because when, again, the timing throws were there. He threw the ball. Like I said, again, he throws a beautiful ball. And, you saw where, down the line, when Minchie came in, went off his head. He was late with the football. But CJ, on time, because, again, those outcuts, those stop routes, those are timing routes. You got to have the ball out there, and he does a great job with his timing, his delivery, and he just looked more in control, because he wasn't, trying to do something that we didn't need him to do. I mean, 10 of 12, yeah, people say, oh, well, he didn't throw that much. But he was efficient, precise, and he did what he needed to do for the team to have the success that they had. But it starts with that running game. And, teams are going to come back and look at the film and say, well, hey, we got to corral those two running backs. And then you're going to see a lot more downfield throws, because they're going to have to come up. Those safeties start to creep up, go hit them over the top. And like you said, right out the gate, we hit them with that. So it's like, oh, well, they have that in their arsenal. And, again, a beautiful ball that was placed perfectly on that post route.
Well, I'll say the best thing that CJ Carr did was settle on a stance pre-snap. There was a lot of talk about how when it was a run, he was his feet were parallel, and then when he would pass, his feet were staggered. So he just decided he's going to stagger them from now on. So you can't tell if it's going to be a run or a pass. But those are just things that you go through as a player, and you realize, okay, the defense is looking for any and everything. And so you just have to be consistent with what you do pre-snap, because if they can find a key pre-snap, they're gonna ride it till they kill it, on pre-snap reads. But then again, Reggie, talking about his efficiency, and he's looking comfortable. He does not look like it's his third game. He's playing like, he's a 3-year vet, I guess, for lack of a better expression. He looks very comfortable, looks in command. And, I think that whatever reservations the coaches had about his growing pains, I think they can set all those aside. I think they know exactly what they have in him, and I think they're getting a little bit more than what they expected out of CJ Carr.
I have a follow-up about the stance thing. I'm curious. Is that concern you guys at all, though, that it took until week 3, an entire offseason, 2 games, and then the third game of the season, the coaching staff has also recognized that you're giving a tell to the defense to fix the stance? Is that something that is alarming in any way about that for you guys?
Well, I would say it's concerning from the standpoint of, like, and this goes back to something quarterback coach said, and during the fall or right before, during the summertime, we're still trying to figure out, you got to do your own, reconnaissance and research, and, like, look at what guys are doing, because, again, you have analytics are any and everywhere now. So for that to happen, that's just someone not keyed into these little bitty things that you have to do, because, again, he may not even know he's doing it.
Right.
But someone should have noticed this, and because they record every play in practice, they record everything you do is on film. So it's not like this is something that was not visible. It's just something that they didn't look to. And again, I can see, people will miss this stuff, but you have coaches, you have analysts, you have, people watching film, research, and all this. So it's concerning from the standpoint of, why was this not again, addressed back in the spring, because I would imagine he's been doing this a while. And so this is something that should have been looked at. But these are things that coaches they're learning too. And this staff is fairly new. It's fairly young now. I mean, outside of Denbrock, I just don't think that they were locked in on something. And again, you can look at it a couple of different ways that, hey, this is a coaching thing, or because I don't really put it on CJ because he's probably doing it subconsciously. So this is something that he needs to be, which they finally do 3-4 weeks in. Oh, you have this tail. So it is concerning. I'm glad that they finally got it, but they should have known about this a couple of years ago at least.
Well, it is a bit of an oversight. And the point you're making, Reggie, is you not only scout the other team, you scout yourself. And yes, Notre Dame looks at a ton of game film, and they look at practice film, and they look at practice film while they are practicing. When they practice indoors, they've got a big video board up where they can review the play. So it was simply an oversight. But I kind of understand it because on Wednesday's show, I talked about the fact that when I'd lined up at tailback in the eye, if I knew I was getting the ball, I used to lick my fingers. That was my tell. And it took me a while to figure out, what, I'm probably letting the defense know. Nobody ever told me, no coach ever said anything, but I just figured out on my own, with the defense trying to key in on everything, I'm probably letting them know I'm running the ball. So after that, I just started licking my fingers every play. So it wouldn't be a tell. But then the flip side of that is thank God for gloves, so I didn't have to lick my fingers anymore.
All right, let's take our first break here. Let's get to the other side of the ball, because while Notre Dame won, they gave up 30 points. We'll call it 23. I mean, the back end of the game almost doesn't even count. But the defense wasn't great today at all times. There's some positive moments, I think, but we'll take a look at what happened and what we saw from the Irish defense. That's coming up next here on the Irish Squad Show. You can't just move through life, or you can find things that move you. It's your choice. You can choose to get out there. Choose your people. You can choose to go for it, like really go for it. Just choose to do something that moves you. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's show is also brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost weekend. It is the weekend here, actually. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it mattered most. So let's break it down. Simply today, who delivered the most? That's going to be Jadarian Price, 4 touchdowns on the day for the Irish. I mean, what a monster day that he had in this victory. And just like Jadarian Price and delivered for Notre Dame, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, that's today. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Term supply. Promo period through November 18th. All right, what'd you guys make of the defensive performance today? A little rocky early, and then after the rain delay or the lightning delay seemed to be a little bit better. But Alan, we'll start with you on this one. How do you evaluate the Irish defense today in the victory?
Well, the opening series, I thought that, that's the defense I was expecting to be, just the 3 and out. And I got to tell you, number 12, I wanted to pronounce his name correctly, but he was just manhandling his defender. Here it is, Jordan
Botello.
Thank you, Reggie. Jordan Botello. He was just manhandling his offensive lineman, but he was pushing him back. So after the first series, I'm like, okay, this is what I expected. But then, Purdue on its second series, I was starting to think, oh, Lord, this is going to be another track meet. And I know that Leonard Moore was out with his injury, and then we had a couple other people that were out, and so we're going to have to make do. It's one of those situations where freshmen have to grow up in a hurry, and still a little concerned about the pass rush. We were able to get a couple of sacks finally and get some pressure. I think in the second half got more pressure on Purdue than in the first half. And I think that's still something that needs to be fixed. But, bottom line is they held this Purdue team to less than 100 yards rushing, I think 78 yards rushing. Purdue was successful on 4 out of 14 third down attempts. So they were able to get some good stops. So I think the defense did a great job, but I would love to see them cut down on the number of explosive plays that they give to the opponent, because I think this defense is still settling into what it wants to be. They're going to play man. Reggie, you know this. They're going to play man. They love playing man because that's what Marcus likes to do, even though Chris Ash is more of a play zone. But one of the things, and they're going to blend them, but, it might be one of those type of defenses that plays that bend but don't break. Yeah, we'll let you go 20-20 and have your way. But when you get in that red zone, you just got to settle for a field goal because you're not going to get in the end zone. And I'm fine with that as long as on offense Notre Dame is scoring touchdowns. But the defense has a way to go. And I think the offense can already, by the way they're playing, understand that we may have to outscore some teams. So it's a work day for us, and we need to target at least 40 points to score to make sure we win.
Well, for me, it's definitely still concerning. I'm not comfortable where this defense is. And, Marcus said it a little bit at halftime, talking about, the back end and the front end, not really, the pressures versus, the man coverage, making sure that we're complementing each other. And, for that to be the case, I mean, it's obvious. And for him to, put it out there, I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's,
yeah. Oh, and by the way, I want to give Marcus props because he doesn't do coach speak. I mean, he was transparent as hell. I mean, he was saying what we felt, and he was just giving it all to the reporter.
Yeah, I'm in some cases I'm a fan of coach speak. Like,
yeah,
everything.
Yeah, they don't need to know. Yeah,
but it's again finding that balance. I do believe that they wore that offensive line down, over time because they kept pushing and started to see some guys actually using pass rush moves, knocking the hand down, rip, swim, because we hadn't until this game, really hadn't seen that. So I was, felt the pass rush did improve. But I'm sorry, this is still Purdue, and they've got to get much better on the back end. Again, trail technique, I understand it, but you can't trail that much. And if you got trail technique, then you're saying where's the help over the top? So where's the safety to come over on that one touchdown? Again, the corner route, and I'm like the inside corner route from the slot. Yeah, he boom. Pressed him out. He's underneath, but there's supposed to be somebody over the top. And it looked like the safety, when I was looking at him, he looked over there and he looked like he wanted to go over there, but he didn't. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Get over the top of that.
Yeah.
Because that throw, great throw, by the way, Brown. But the safety has to be over there unless he had him, man up and man free. I'm just like, where's the safety? And again, these are the little things that they're still struggling with. Like I said, if you have, if your coverage is man and you're playing underneath, and you're playing trail technique on the receiver, you're expecting your safety to be over the top and to come over the top and be there to make that play. And that didn't happen. So it's, they got to continue to work on playing with each other and understanding what is required and what is expected of them. Because I watched the safety and he started over there, then he stopped. And I'm like, so there's some uncertainty as to what his responsibility is. And that can't happen in that situation. You got to know what you're responsible for and be there to make plays. And as the game wore on, you saw guys that said make some, great, some really good interceptions.
Yeah,
guys breaking on the ball. So they were there, but it was still they still need to do some work on making sure the front end is kind of meshing and working well with the back end. But all in all, it's still a concern where we are, because we shouldn't be giving up 30 points or 23 points to Purdue.
No, and you know how, Reggie, you say you miss Jack Kaiser because he got everybody in the right place. I miss Xavier Watts because he would have been over top and been over there to knock that ball in, because you're right. The DB is the DB was in the trail position, like he's supposed to be. So you want to be able to sandwich that receiver. You want to be able to, if the ball is underthrown, then the guy in the trail position should be in a position to pick that ball off. And if it's overthrown, the safety is over top. But they should be able to come together and have that meeting at the receiver, so the ball ends up being incomplete. But I found myself saying, where the hell is the safety when I was looking at those plays? But those guys were definitely good. That's why they're playing on Sunday now. And so we got to get the new blood that's in there now up to speed, so that we can talk about when they used to not get to the ball and now they're getting to the ball.
Yeah, I think very specifically with Zachary out there, as a replacement, a freshman, like clearly the plan from these teams is attack. As soon as he was on the field last week, A&M attacked him, and Purdue attacked him early on the touchdown play, their first touchdown of the game. The third drive of the game before I think they scored again, he got beat on a double move, but the ball was underthrown, so he was able to break it up. He needs some help, and I think that's fair to ask, the team to help out a freshman corner out there. So that to me is where, besides the pass rush, as long as Zachary's on the field right now, as he's learning and getting better, there's a gap there in where he's at versus the competition, and that's only going to grow and be more evident, I think, as teams watch their film. So that to me is one area where, as we're talking about safeties being over the top, it's like, yeah, they need to help him out as much as possible. Because he's young, he's 18, like he's 18, 19 years old. Like, it's not going to be an all American as soon as he steps on the field. As far as the pass rush, what do you guys view like the back end of the game? Obviously, Notre Dame's up by 20 points, right? So you can pin your ears back, get after the quarterback. That's when they get their 2 sacks in this game. Heinisch with one of them. Does that, take away from because of the score? Does that take away what they were able to accomplish in the second half because they knew it was going to be a pass at all times?
Go ahead.
Well, you want to put them in that position where you can pin your ears back, and then you can actually rush with greater abandon, because they can't get back in the game with 3 yards in the cloud of dust. And the fact is, they were stuffing the run to 78 yards rushing. So you would expect that once they build up a lead, that the rush lanes are going to be a little more prevalent because they need to throw to get back in the game. And that's a signal for the defenders, or defensive linemen at least, to get a little more creative, open up their little box of tricks. Reggie, you talked about how you saw some more technique things involved in rushing that enabled them to put more pressure on the quarterback. So we would probably want to see those early in the game too. But they got better as the game went along. But it is so important that Notre Dame be able to apply pressure with the front four, with 4 people. It's so important, because you start, blitzing, you start bringing 5 or, God forbid, bring 6, then you're really leaving the defensive backs exposed. And it's like, if you're going to come, you got to get to the quarterback. You can't just, be traffic in front of them. You got to pressure them, create a QBH or something to disrupt him so that you can help out the DBs on the back end.
Well, I did see again the progression of the more continuity. But again, the defensive front, they've got to be better earlier. And I think, as it progressed, it got better. But like I said, really after, Marcus made that, Coach Freeman talked about the disconnect between the front end and the back end, you saw marked improvement. Because I think, they got to communicate. That's another thing, that defensively, it is imperative that you communicate, where you are on the field. And like I said, we talked about rush lanes, Alan, and, stepping up and performing at the level that you're capable of performing. I still think our defensive tackles need to be better. I mean, Heinisch is getting – I just don't think we're getting enough push in the middle and really collapsing the pocket. The guys are coming off the edge. Traore got a sack, except Bryce Young got a sack. So we have guys that are coming off the edge, and again, also with the linebackers, being able to blitz. KVA had an opportunity for a sack late in the game, missed it, but you're starting to see them get more pressure. But it has to match up with what we're doing on the back end. And to your point, Joe, you're talking about really there's 2 freshmen out there now with Golden, Dallas Golden, and the young man.
Zachary, yeah.
Yep.
So you're talking about 2 true freshmen that are, they're going to go after him, because they were going after Golden in the slot and they were going after Zachary on the outside. So you're going to have to find some ways to protect them, but still be able to get the pressure you need to get to the quarterback. Because right now, I mean, again, there's that disconnect. And I think part of that is that you got some young guys out there that are still trying to figure out, where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. So I think as they go through, it'll get better, but it's going to have to get better a lot quicker because, you're planning to get Arkansas is not going to be a pushover. They lost to Memphis today, but they put points on the board. You look at Boise State. They're going to. They're not doing great, but USC is coming down the pipe. North Carolina State. They've had some success. So we talked about our toughest opponents are behind us. I don't know. I mean, where we are, and I said this, pre-show, I'm looking at how many points are what we allow Purdue to do. And we took care of the run, but we're still, like I said, giving up too many explosive plays in the passing game. And it's hurting. You're going to come up against a lot better talent, against a USC, NC State, a lot more speed. And if you're not ready for it, I mean, I like a track meet. I love track, but I don't want my defensive backs in a track meet.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable having to outscore the opponent. I want to beat the opponent.
The one drive that hasn't really got mentioned yet, I think it's the one that honestly, guys, bothers me the most. So you come out of this 2-hour lightning delay, you hold them to a field goal. That's positive, right? Because they had moved the ball into scoring position. You hold them to a field goal. Price gets the touchdown. But then we see some really soft coverage at the end of the second quarter, and it looks like they're in field position, but then another good throw from Purdue, and all of a sudden there's another touchdown. It's 35-23 going into the short halftime. What's your guys' thoughts on what Chris Ash and the defense did there? Because it was way too soft a coverage to allow Purdue to march down the field like that when you really had an opportunity to kind of step on their throats a little bit.
Well, I thought it was your classic bend but don't break. You can throw it in front of us. You're not going to throw anything over our heads. It's almost like the dreaded prevent defense. And what do people say about the prevent defense? It prevents you from winning. But I think that they were playing soft just so that they wouldn't give up the big play. I think they were willing to give up stuff that was in front of them, but not let it just go behind them. But that ended up not working because this quarterback from Purdue was able to find holes and create some explosive plays with what, a minute left. Mm-hmm. And so Notre Dame has to be able to find a way to really lock down on an offense that's desperate and having to throw the ball downfield, and it just has to come from the front four.
Well, I think again the Purdue receivers, were matching up, and we struggled in that area. Yep. We struggled to match up well with them, and you got to give those guys some, their props because Maccabee, who's running back, but Michael Jackson, Tuggle, I mean, they were really giving our guys fits, and from a coverage standpoint, and again, soft coverage, you still have to come up and make the play. And so yeah, if you're going to play soft coverage, then you have to come up and secure the tackle or at least drive on the ball. And that's the thing that we're, if you're going to play soft coverage, you got to sit back, but then you have to drive on those balls, which they did much better in the second half. And that is it's a simple thing of, like I said, keep your feet moving. That's the one thing you don't want to do. And you saw a couple of times where guys settled their feet and kind of got caught flat-footed because they were like, hey, this is soft. They're in front of me. As long as I keep it in front of me, I'm okay. You got to keep moving as they press you. You got to keep your feet moving so you can react to those plays. So I do like the fact that they made some corrections and course corrected as it went on. But after that score, I was like, are you kidding me? Please let's not get into a track meet. I'm like, Purdue, man, come on. We can't. I mean, great job on this run, but man, what are we doing back there? It was just very concerning because it's like they're not good. I'm sorry, Purdue is not good. And you're going to face a lot more, talented receivers, top quarterbacks. And if this is what can get you twisted up in a tough situation, I'm nervous. I'm still nervous. Mm-hmm. I'm still nervous about where we are defensively. We made progress. I said, to Alan's point, Purdue is the ailment that it's the ointment that fixes your ailments because you come in and you can offensively ring them up, but defensively giving up, you can't give up 30 points. I'm sorry, it's just not good. And again, a lot of it was early in that first half, and we struggled there, but they got better, but they got to be better than that and better than that sooner. So I'm hoping that this is this is going to progress to, hey, we start faster defensively, just like we started fast offensively.
Did you guys ever experience anything like that 2-hour delay when you guys were playing ever?
No. See, back when we played, it was, if you get knocked out, they put two fingers in front of you, and if you say you see forward, and they say, okay, you're good, go back in.
Yeah, if you struck by lightning,
rub
some dirt on it and keep playing.
Yeah, I guess we are showing our age, Reggie. We are old, but no weather delays. I
don't ever recall being in a weather delay.
I was never in a weather delay. No.
Because I was thinking, like, if anything, it'd probably be like a tornado warning. If anything, like that would cause you to have the delay. But my gosh, when it was an hour in, I was like, man, this game is never going to happen at this pace. It's never going to be finished.
It's so long, though. That was kind of what got me. It's like, it's clear, right? So
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
or it was just raining, so they can play in the rain.
Yeah, they can. This is where, like, I get why people are pro domes, so this doesn't happen. But I know it doesn't really happen in college football the same. But like, this is why like the Bears are going to get a stadium a dome stadium because they don't have to deal with stuff like this. But
we also need a dome stadium because it's freaking cold.
That's true.
Like I said, there shouldn't be any cold weather teams without a dome. Like,
especially new stadiums.
Yeah.
Come on, Detroit, Minnesota, Buffalo. Come on, guys. Let's tighten this thing up. Let's be better. Let's be better for your fans.
I love the Buffalo Bills are building a new stadium, and it doesn't have a dome. It's one of the most ironic things possible.
Somebody needs to be slapped upside the head for doing that.
Yeah.
See, question here from Corey here in the chat. How can the defense get tighter coverage on these wide receivers?
Well, first of all, they got to stop jumping routes. I mean, like, come on, just play the man, play your technique, and stop jumping routes. I mean, too many times I'm seeing guys getting hit with double moves because, for one, they'll start peeking in the backfield. If you're playing man-to-man coverage, your eyes shouldn't be anywhere in the backfield. Those should be on your man and moving your feet. You got to keep moving your feet if you're going to be able to play coverage. It requires you to keep your feet moving. Once you stop your feet, the receiver has you. So the more that they can work on it, and again, you got some, two young guys out there, two true freshmen, which, I'm sorry, I don't trust freshmen. Make sure you do a better job moving your feet. But to Alan's point, I need to see our safeties, playing over the top and helping those guys out to say if they get behind them, they have help over the top. That's going to, you get a bracket coverage going. But if you're going to play tighter coverage, it's going to require them to do a better job moving their feet and not, kind of, setting their feet and looking in the backfield. Because I saw that a few times with some of the guys, in particularly Dallas Golden, where he got beat over the top. It's because he was planning. He was there, and he wound up trail technique, but he has to get hands on him too. That's another thing. I would love to see our DBs do a better job of getting hands on the receiver. They're allowing them to have too easy of a release.
Well, the way I would answer the question is I'd like to see our guys cover the receiver and not guess. Now, when you guess, a lot of times you get some interceptions, but you guess, and that's when they bring that double move. And so if you just follow your fundamentals of covering the guy, you're usually going to be tighter on that receiver instead of guessing. And so that's how you get burnt on a double move is guessing.
All right, we'll take our final break here. When we get back, we'll talk about a couple other things that happened in this game. I got to get your guys' thoughts on Jeremiyah Loves jumping over the pile the way he did. We'll get to that next year on the Irish Squad Show on the Locked On Irish YouTube channel. Today's show is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. I've always got one in my backpack when I'm at work, just in case I need one to get through the day. But big taste, tiny shot, you can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right, not to be critical of Jeremiyah Loves because he's awesome, but didn't love the jump over the pile. He held on to the ball, and he scored on the next play, but I didn't love that. So
keep your feet on the ground.
You guys take it from me.
Or the play, I guess, down by the goal line. There's a difference between going over the top and jumping over someone. He
Yeah.
tried to jump over them. That doesn't happen on the goal line, but you can go over the top. I've made plenty of the scores just going over the top, but that's diving over the top, and you get actually a little bit higher. I don't know if even though I dove over the pile, I still don't know if I would get as high as Jeremiyah Loves jumping over. But jumping over on the goal line, you're going to get knocked back. And so maybe not the best decision there, but if he dives over the pile, he might have more success.
Well, he didn't need to jump. There was a run lane right there. Keep your feet on the ground, because he came back and ran through it and did that the next play. So it's like, and again, I think he has this thing where he likes to jump, and I'm just a little nervous with that, because it's like certain times I get it, but other times like let's keep your feet on the ground. You're better with both your feet on the ground, moving and running versus jumping. Again, there's a time for it, and he did it a little earlier and it worked, but it's like he's doing a little bit much for my taste. Just from a safety standpoint, he's better with his both feet on the ground. I don't have a problem with in certain situations, but in that situation, it's like you have, like you were saying, Alan, he's a power runner. Power yourself through there with driving your feet and getting through there versus jumping, because it's not like there was a pile to jump over. It's like people were standing up. I can see if they were.
He can still jump over them, though.
Yeah, one thing, if you cut guys, I can see if the line had cut block the defenders. Yeah, go over the top, but they were standing straight up, and he's got our offensive line is not short, right? We got a couple guys.
You got big boys,
6'5", 6'6". So yeah, I mean, you might be a high jumper, but keep your feet on the ground and just run on in there like you did the last time.
And when you jump over someone, you may avoid contact, but it slows you down, and so it allows the defense to catch up to you. And that's why, Reggie, you were saying you do better with your feet on the ground. But yeah, when you jump up, it allows the defense to make up that space that they didn't have when you were running. But he's had success doing it, and he's one of the few people I've seen that reminds me of a hurdler. When they jump over the hurdle, they go right back to their 2 or 3 step. Yeah, when he jumps over somebody, he's just right in stride. Most people, when they jump, it's like, how am I going to land? Am I going to land on the leg I want to plant with, or am I going to land funny? Am I going to land on 2 feet? Just unsure of how you're going to land. But he's pretty much mastered it, but could probably do with seeing less of it.
All right, after 3 games of watching this team, we just talked about the defense, we talked about the offense. I'm asking you guys to put a number on it. How many points a game at this point do you guys think the offense has to score to win every week? Is it 30, 33, 35? Like how many points do they actually need to score right now every week to get a win?
All right, now I think it's 40.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay.
I think it's 40. Because they did try against Purdue today to slow it down a little bit, just to take time off the clock. But the offense was so good, they ended up scoring quick anyway. But then the problem is that the other offense comes on and they'll move a little faster and they'll score. So 40 is the number for me that they have to get to. We thought 40 was going to be enough for Texas A&M. But it wasn't. So I think as an offensive player, I'm going into every game thinking, okay, we got to put up 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns.
You ready? You think it's 40 as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just you watch this game, and you were for the whole first half. There was some nerves, because it's like every time the offense would score, we defense come out and get them to punt once, and then the turnover didn't help us. but they would just continue to give it up big plays, and you're like, there was never really wasn't until the second half that I felt, okay, we got this under control. And that's a concern, because to be honest with you, way we were going, if we didn't have the delay, they were moving the ball.
Yeah.
I think the delay helped us more so than helped them. And yeah, except 40 points against Purdue, I think we should have scored more. I wouldn't have mind scoring more. We could have, but I just don't feel comfortable where this defense is, because it's just too inconsistent. And again, when you give up big plays, and again, they give them up like just sporadically. It's just like, boom. You think, oh, they holding them, they got them to a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and they give up a first down. You can't trust them. Right now, we're just in a position where Notre Dame is struggling to trust the defense, which is shocking to me, considering, where it was last year.
And I mean, we're complaining, but again, 4 out of 14 on 3rd down is what Purdue was, which meant the defense, did its job. But there's still too many explosive plays.
Yeah, I think there's positive things to take from this game. So, do you guys view as from a big picture perspective? Is there enough to have faith that it's actually getting better, or is it more maybe we're just kind of crossing our fingers and hoping for the best at this point?
I definitely saw progress defensively in terms of the back end and the front end getting better, but you still have to have. They're still concerned with, and Alan talked about it, with the guys guessing. We got some young guys that how do we protect them and give them help and still be able to get pressure on the quarterback, and that requires us to be able to get our 4 down linemen to do a better job getting pressure. And until we can feel safe in that regard, I'm just where they are right now.
Well, and this is why a lot of big schools play a lot of different directional schools for the first couple of games, so they can get used to game speed and have some success, so that when they do play a formidable opponent, they've got confidence that they can execute and make it happen. But Notre Dame doesn't work like that. What was it I said? I'm envious sometimes of like Ohio State, because if you're a fan and you're going to watch them play, before you even take a step in the stadium, they dropping 60 on the opponent, because they're playing Northwest St. Mary's of Bishopville. But Notre Dame doesn't do that, and Notre Dame can't do that because Notre Dame is an independent. But what's happening is Notre Dame is thrown right into the fire. But to tell you the truth, I wouldn't want it any other way. Because look, playing top 10 opponents is what you do in the NFL week in, week out. So why not get used to it right now in college?
When you guys saw the ranking that they're still in the AP poll, ranked 24th after starting 0-2, and then they get the win today, where's your optimism or hope that this team can still make a run and make the play?
My optimism is really what A&M and Miami does. Right now, Miami's beating up on Florida, and they got Florida State coming up. So Miami has a pretty decent shot of making a run. A&M, I think, is a different story because the SEC is going to be a little more challenging, but we need them to do better. I feel, again, if this team continues to progress like they're doing, the opportunity will be there, but we are going to have to rely on, our top, our ranked opponents to help us get there, because again, they talked early in the season, they're going to put a little more emphasis on, strength of schedule. And right now, beyond, the teams we lost to, our strength of schedule isn't great right now. So, we need some help from the teams that beat us to get us to get that point to where we can, at the end of the year, we have an opportunity, because, we don't get the chance to go and win a conference. So that's another thing that hurts us. So there's some optimism, but it's of the fact that, I think we're good. We can win out, but we need Miami and A&M to win out as well. And I felt bad for Arkansas, because it's like, dang,
yeah,
help our case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, look, I'm confident that Notre Dame can win out because they are coached by Marcus Freeman. And I think from a mental standpoint, he will put these guys in the right frame of mind. It just so happens that under Marcus, you have to go through some September blues before you get to the promised land. It's sort of like managing a child. You tell them not to do something and they do it, and you tell don't touch that thing because it's hot, but they still got to touch it. All right, for them to figure out, okay, if I touch it, I'm going to get burned. The same thing with this football team. They go through their September woes, and then they buy in, and I think they're going to be fine because they've got the talent to be able to do it, and hopefully they can stay healthy. Even though I'm pretty confident with the depth that Notre Dame has, they can stay healthy. But just like Reggie said, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help from Miami. I've never cheered for Miami before, but I'm going to
First for everything.
Yeah, I'm going to cheer for them to win the ACC. And, I lived in Houston for 23 years, so I had to deal with all those Aggies and Longhorns and folks down there. So I'm glad I don't live in Texas anymore, just dealing with them. But they're good people. They're good people, and I'm going to become a Texas A&M fan. You may see me on an episode, say gig 'em once or twice. So we do need help, but I'm confident. But I'm a huge fan of College Game Day. I watch it all the time. And Kirk Herbstreit said if Notre Dame goes 10-2, they'll go to the playoff. And a lot of times the people on the panel that are choosing, listen to him.
Yeah, I think it's very. I think they'll make the playoff if they go 10-2. I think there'll be enough chaos in front of them. The question is just, will they actually, get it done, and will the defense improve enough throughout the season to maybe not have to give up score 40 points a game? Any final thoughts on the game today, guys, before we wrap up?
Well, we're not only going to need help from Texas A&M and Miami, but look at what Syracuse did to Clemson, which means by the time we play them, that might be a big game. They should be ranked. USC right now, a lot of firepower. Going to be able to watch them tonight, see what they do with Sparty. So, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and assume that they can win. But we have to be of the mindset, and Reggie, this, just win one at a time, just concentrate on winning that one, and then let the chips fall where they may. But if they continue to win and play like this, you'd be a fool not to let them in the playoff.
Yeah. Well, for me, again, like I said, this game, I saw improvements on both sides of the ball, which is very encouraging. Even though it took the defense a while to kind of, get going, and which is that's what my concern is that because it took, defense is usually ahead of the offense, and in our case right now that's reversed, and that's always going to be concerning. So whatever needs to be corrected, which you, Alan, I think Coach Freeman will get that corrected, and you saw some improvements defensively. He said he was going to be more engaged in that side of the ball. I do feel our offense is gotten to a point where that identity, we have our identity. And, Coach Denbrock, we're running football team. And when you saw it from our offensive line, when they're given the opportunity to come off the ball and dominate, we can do that. And then it allows CJ to go in and get those downfield throws to where we can get some big plays in the passing game.
And a running game travels, so it doesn't matter where you go, what the weather is, rain delay, no rain delay. A running game travels.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. For Reggie Brooks, for Alan Pinkett, I am Joe George. We'll be back with you guys next week for the post-game show. What day are you guys?
Do it on Thursday.
Yeah, if you guys can catch them and Tyler, on Thursdays as well.
And Allison.
And Allison as well, yes. And I think Allison will be back with us next week. So we'll be with you guys next week as well. As soon as the game wraps up, we'll be here on the Locked On Irish YouTube channel. Remember, hit that subscribe button to here on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast, Apple and Spotify. Check out Tyler's show Monday through Friday as well. Thank you all for watching. Go Irish. Glad they got the